Entertain, educate, recreate, and intoxicate.
What's up, everybody? Oh my goodness, we got a bunch. Look at that. We got a bunch of people in. That's nice to see. That's nice to see. All right, so everyone, we're back. It's been a while. It's been been quite a while since we've done this show. To all the newcomers that are to this one, this is Three Tortured Souls. Thank you for checking us out. We are. My name's Kenny. This is Tim and Dave. We've been doing this show for a while, right? A couple years.
Long time.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're up to. I think I was counting up the shows, and we're like at 126. The last one we did was 125. So we've done that. We used to do it weekly, and that was like way too much. And then we went to once a month, and then and now it's like every once a month, kinda.
Yeah,
Just sort of whenever we're in the mood,
right?
yeah.
Right.
But that's how we kind of got together. Was just like bitching about so much stuff. We're like, we should just like get together somewhere and just talk about it.
I was really bitching about one person.
Well,
Yeah.
that's how we got together.
We expanded our bitching.
Actually, this could be a good start off point, since we have a bunch of new viewers that are coming in. And just to be clear, like this is not the Skeptical Help Bar. This is Three Tortured Souls. This is a show again that that the three of us got together on. And who wants to tell the story? Who wants to tell our origin story?
I think Dave would be great.
Dave, yeah. Well, Tim, you started.
You were the original.
I did the intro
You
to
were
it.
the
So it's up to
original.
Dave.
That's where
All right.
Victor
Yeah.
came from.
I'll start it out. So I did a show a long time ago with another gentleman, and we had a very unique position of being a skeptic, which I was, and this other person being I guess a believer, a full on, like, which was fine. And we had a, for a long time, we had a good relationship with talking about like why they believe, what you could prove, what you could produce as evidence or data to support your claim, and why I would debunk it or fight it, whatever. And it was pretty good. As a matter of fact, that show is how I met Dave, because I came across his website, one of his websites, and I was like, this is really good. There is a lot of good information. We should have him on. And I think he did reach out to you at some point. And I don't know if you came on that one or not. And then also I saw Kenny, and we reached out to Kenny as well. So that's how we met. Then it kind of became, for some reason, I won't go into, I guess, too much. There was a lot of this person would get very angry that they weren't invited to different festivals, different
Events, like conferences and stuff like that.
Like very bitter about it, and then started getting very upset that I was friends with Kenny, and at the end with Dave. So
you can notice a general theme here.
Yeah.
I can add in that the reason he was mad, didn't like that you were still friendly with me, is that like we had done, I had actually filled in for you a couple times on the show that you guys were doing. And there came a point where he did some kind of ghost hunt somewhere, and he made a lot of mistakes, and he started saying stuff like, he was a really good investigator. And I mean, not just like, this is the kind of thing where if you're good at what you're doing, you don't have to broadcast it to everyone, and that's what this guy was doing. He was broadcasting it and making sure that you knew how great he was. And at one point I just had enough, and I was like, no, you're not. You're not a good investigator. You miss a lot. You make assumptions. You take things at face value. You don't fact check. No, you do not do that. And of course, that's the wrong thing to do when you have someone with an ego. As I find out a few times in my life, you just don't do that. And since then, he sent me a nasty gram, telling me you should never ever insult the host of a show. And I was like, well, if you're wrong, you're wrong, bitch.
We did.
Yeah, don't fucking tell me what to do. So that's why we had the falling out. And then
After these two got booted,
oh,
I thought I'd give it a go. What the hell? So I started doing a show with him for a while, and very similar to Kenny and Tim, it went down same path. I think there's something happened, and there was something, he got criticized for something, and then the idea was, okay, we'll have people on the show. Let's talk about it. Let's open it up. Anything's fair game. Don't block or shut down people. And I think, what was it, 15, 20 minutes into that show, people got booted and blocked. And
yeah,
then I'm in a chat with them, and I'm like, we can't be doing this. That's not what we said we were going to do. And then it went south from there. It was pretty much the exact same thing. And then I think I went on a separate show with you two and some other people. I won't mention them. I don't want to draw them into it because I don't know if they want their names associated with this. But we did a show talking about what this person had done. And then I think I answered some questions. We talked about a few things. And then I got told I shouldn't be friends with Tim and Kenny anymore. It's like, I'm like, how old are we? Seriously? You're telling me I shouldn't be friends with somebody? And anyway, so the whole thing blew up, and done with that show. And then we kind of started a show with a few other people, and that went on for, I don't know, a couple months maybe. And then everybody was kind of busy, had their own thing to do. And the three of us just continued on. And every once in a while we'd pop on and talk about things that kind of more or less pissed us off. So we'd get on and vent. And
right.
then, it progressed from there. We came up with 3 Tortured Souls. And ever since then, we've been doing the show. Like Kenny said, we did it once a week for a while. Now we moved it to once a month, just with, everything going on and having to prep every week. And, obviously as well with Kenny and his show going weekly, and then having to do another show weekly. And I'm going to be honest, in the summer, just doing a show on Saturday nights is just kind of a bummer sometimes.
Sucks.
Because you're out and about and you're like, I got to get back and do the show. And I love doing the show. So I think we took a little bit of a break there and then decided once a month would be good. So basically there's one person that brought all 3 of us together. And this has been going on for, a good couple years now.
Yeah.
I think since, was it 2018, 19, something like
One
that?
of them.
I'd have to look.
I mean, I know it was through COVID.
Yeah.
It was before COVID. So I think it was like 18 or 19 or something like that. Because we
we-
hit 100 shows, and I think we were doing it weekly. So that was like 2 years.
Yeah.
And then we moved to the once a month. So it's probably been at least 3 years. So anyway, so that's our origin story.
Yeah, basically we just get together and bitch about something that pissed us off about the paranormal, and if one person watched, if 2 people watched, awesome. If no people watched, we were still
Even
fine
better.
with it. Yeah.
But
We got a notebook full of ideas.
We do have a plethora of topics that we've talked about. I mean, anywhere from like the Bermuda Triangle to Bigfoot. We talked about, we had the one about, what is it, sleep paralysis? Didn't we do a show on sleep paralysis? And we had the doctor, I think Tim froze. Oh, there he is.
I think I got a storm that's coming in pretty hard behind me. I was just getting ready to chat to you guys about that. So,
but we've talked about a lot of things. We've even had movie nights where we've gotten together.
Love that.
Yeah, and done like a private link where we all watched a movie together, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
We had our 100th show episode out at what was it, the Gettysburg Adamsville Bash. So that was cool. That was fun. 3 of us were together with exceptional internet that day when we did the show. But no, it was a lot of fun. So we've covered everything from how to conduct an investigation to how to improve on what you're doing, to cryptids, to ghosts, to hauntings, UFOs. I think we've covered pretty much, at least dabbled a little bit in each main area of the paranormal.
We've all 3 come up with experiments and have implemented them as well. which
Yeah.
I think is really cool. We've
Which
had
reminds me, I
challenges.
gotta mail something out to Daniel. Shit, I keep forgetting
That's
about
all right.
that.
You're fine.
Damn it.
Yeah, we had one at White Hill Mansion. That was a lot of fun. And we like when we come up with one, we like to reach out for volunteers as long as they're okay with signing a waiver.
Yeah.
We'll put you in the experiment.
And we have a lot of fun. I mean, and once in a while we went to doing an open mic night like tonight, because it gives us a break. And basically, we were supposed to do it the first Wednesday of the month, but things came up, so it got pushed back twice. And we're here, and it was like there was no time. And I think it was my turn it is my turn to do it. And I was like, there's no way. I don't have time to prep. And understand, like, when we prep, we usually we do deep dives. And that's one of the things I love about doing this show with you guys, is that the three of us do deep dives, and the viewers get three different perspectives. Sometimes they converge and agree. Sometimes they go wildly different, which is great. I love doing that. But then, yeah, we come to nights like tonight where it's like, all right, we're all busy. We didn't have time to investigate anything or research anything. So let's do an open mic night. And that means that for everyone that's watching, this is your opportunity. Just a little side note, there is no Skeptic Help Bar this week on Friday, so I won't be doing a show because we have our Skeptic Camp event happening, and everyone is coming in on Friday. So I'm picking people up at the airport and hanging out, so I won't be able to do a show Friday night. But tonight we're here. You got two awesome people alongside, where we can all answer questions. We can all give opinions, give ideas, our own perspectives. So if you have questions about the paranormal and skepticism, equipment, haunted places, methods, except for the Estes method, because I fucking hate that thing. It popped into my head like, oh, don't open the door for that one.
I saw that title on one of yours, so I was like, yeah, he does hate that.
Oh my gosh,
I know that.
That was just, that idea was coming up so many times. I saw so many people commenting. It's so great. It's so wonderful. And I'm like, what are you looking at? Like, how can you possibly think this is a great method? And I guess, it's one of them times where it was like, well, fuck it. I'm going to just go on a rant for 2 hours and just lay it out there. So there you go. If you guys got questions out there, feel free to put it in chat. Do me a favor, put a capital Q in front of it. That way it helps me pick it out, and I can save it as we go along. But otherwise, I mean, if we don't get questions, it's going to be a short show.
Well, it'll be a short one.
The last thing that pissed me off was, just go ahead and start that, was I think I shared with you guys that the question for help in a paranormal, I guess a national or maybe at least a national available paranormal organization or a group on Facebook, and someone had reached out for help, and they had a lot of pretty serious conditions that they were saying that they had experienced, which was, also like a loss of family, not by death, but by the whatever's going on had caused a split, and that they believed it was a ghost or something in the house. And I read through some of the things that they immediately, it's always fucking immediately, it's like, get a hold of so and so paranormal team. Oh, they're great. They're going to come in. They'll solve it for you. Get a hold of this group. They're great. Go to this YouTube channel. I'm like, what? Like, how about, let's just start with, have you told your medical provider that you're having these anxiety problems, or you're having these problems with your family or whatever you're experiencing? Can we not just freaking start there and ask to make sure that, it's not something that could be medically related, or at some point, at least, sorry, my cat's getting scared of the storm. So if I scream, it's because she's jumped on my back. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least take some responsibility and accountability, and think about something, at least offering a suggestion or asking Have you talked to your medical care? Have you talked to your doctor? Have you talked to family that you trust about what you're experiencing? And let them know first, and then maybe talk about, have you played with a Ouija board recently? you know,
So
I'm right there. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
did you get booted out of that conversation
I
yet?
really thought I was going to get booted out, but I haven't got kicked out yet. So
And
I
two,
need
what
to
were
up my,
some of the other people's advice?
what were some? Well, they kept just referring people to different paranormal teams that had a lot of YouTube channel hits, I guess.
Okay.
That's what I saw. I did get a couple out of all of them. I think I got a couple, thanks for mentioning maybe talking to a medical care provider before doing any of that. But
I think that's the big difference with I want to say this right. With people that take more than an interest in investigating claims, they take the time and do the due diligence to understand how to properly investigate and what questions might be relevant, and to take in the possibility of health problems or mental health problems. That's a big thing. I mean, that's a really big deal, and it's something that's overlooked by people that don't have an understanding of this. And like I mean, I have, Tim, I know your background in this. Dave, you have a science background. I have a medical emergency. I was an EMT for 8 years. So I have this background where you ask these questions, and like, you need to know when you are out of your wheelhouse. Because if your first thought, if somebody says they're hearing voices and they're not sure what's going on and they're scared and this and that, and your first thought is, oh, it might be a ghost, you're doing it wrong. And that's just straight up, you're doing it wrong. You're putting your bias and beliefs first, not the person that's talking to you, what their needs are. And I think you need to ask the hard questions, like, have you spoken to your GP? Maybe you should start there first. Go there, talk to your GP, find out their course of action first. And then if you're still having weird things happen, then maybe I'll come back. But don't go out of your lane. And I think that's what a lot of paranormal groups do. They go way out of their lane. Or no, actually, let me rephrase that. They don't go out of their lane. They try to pull the other car in the other lane into their lane.
That's great. And we're going to crash together, baby. We're going to burn.
Tow truck hook. They latch it on and they yank you over, like, get in my lane so that it makes sense.
Well, you know who's waiting in that lane for you to get out of? You know who's in that lane waiting for you?
Zach.
A lawyer.
A lawyer. Yeah.
That's exactly who's waiting for you to get outside of your scope of expertise or what you do.
You got to be careful because you don't know what's going to happen afterwards. Like a little bit of bad advice or something goes bad, you could be potentially liable in a certain way. Could be. I remember back in the day when Jen and I investigated some case, and no problems, at least that they reported medically, because we used to ask that, and have you been checked by a doctor? Or is there anything that would cause of concern? No, everything was fine. Went through the investigation, and we kind of told them what we thought, which there wasn't a ghost probably haunting their place, and it was a older couple, and the daughter called afterwards and says, can't you just tell them it's the ghost of the husband's dead first wife, and that she's probably trying to break them up? Because I don't know if the current wife wanted a divorce or things weren't going well or what, but they basically wanted us to say it was the ghost of this dead first wife causing all these problems to justify this woman leaving this guy and getting a divorce. And we're like, no, we're out. Goodbye. It's like, no, that's not what we do. And those are even back in the more naive days of doing private home investigations, which, as we've talked about before, most of us kind of cringe at these days. And it's very rare, if ever, within the last 14 years, if we'd ever do a private home investigation. If we even did anything like that, it would not be to do the investigation. It's because we came up with a research project. We want to research it. We just need a location. It has nothing usually to do with the people. So yeah, it was pretty crazy, some of the stuff that would come up. Another time we showed up, and just another example of what to look out for is they had the news media sitting there waiting when we pulled up. We're like, oh, we hear you're going to come here and tell them what's going on with this ghost. We're like, what? No.
No, thank you.
Just kind of got back in the car and took off. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's really important to know what your limitations are. I mean, if
right.
you're not a
Right.
medical doctor, you're not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, you don't have that expertise. If somebody tells you they're hearing voices and that's the first time you've talked to them, probably good not to assume they have a ghost and jump right into it,
Yeah.
because you may
And,
become a ghost in their basement.
and that's it. I mean, that's when I hear these kind of situations, and then I hear, oh, we just want to help the client. It makes me laugh, and it burns me up at the same time, because it's like, no, you're not. You're not. Maybe you don't realize it, but no, you're not helping the client by assuming everything's a ghost and not going a more responsible way, putting that person's needs first. So, all right, we do have a couple questions, so we can
All
start
right.
off. Hopefully, we get more, and we can really dig into it. First question is for me. It's from Rabababa. Is the bar still open this Friday? But no, it is not open this Friday. I will be busy entertaining speakers and guests for our event this weekend, and I'll be probably intoxicated at a bar that has very not good Wi-Fi.
You're intoxicated at your bar on Friday night.
Oh yeah!
But yeah, you're just changing places.
All right. Next question from Bob. Damn it, Bob.
Damn it, Bob.
Do you know how many people use dowsing rods on TikTok? I reported a bunch for making money off of it. It's crazy how many people are scamming others. So I've seen a lot of these, and one of the things that I do, especially when they're facing the camera, if the camera's like this, and you watch them, and you're watching the rods go back and forth, I will record that. I'll download it, and then I'll speed it up, and then send it back to them. And then you can see like the hands going back and forth like that. And it's so, I mean, it's funny. It's comical. It looks like you should put like the that music. Like the what is that music? Dun, 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 like weird music, like silly kind of music to it.
Wait, how's it go? Almost had it.
Shut up, Tim. Keystone Cops and stuff like that. Like that kind of move. I was actually doing the Cantina music. That's what popped out. All right.
Yeah, Benny Hill's what I thought. Entity 7.
Oh, that would be good too. Yeah.
Named it
Just to
yeah,
see how the hands move back and forth, and it's once you speed it up, it's so painfully obvious. But yeah, that's good. And the last question we have in queue right now is Autumn Sword. I sent you and Tim a Facebook the other day about everyone's favorite E word. For newcomers, also, if we have a rule here that if you use the word energy in the wrong context, which means like when a ghost hunter says, "Oh, I could feel the ghost's energy," or the ghost used its energy to manipulate the recording, that's the wrong context, and we drink.
Yep.
Every time. So you can imagine some of these shows have gotten really, really drunk.
I've gotten kind of really drunk on this show before.
Oh, really?
And I'm not a drinker, so it's pretty easy.
I know, that's funny. We can tell when you cross the line. It's like,
yeah, it's pretty easy to tell.
Doing good. But Autumn's question is, what are your thoughts on how the paranormal community uses the phrase energy?
Wrong.
Wrongly.
Yeah, they get it half right, I think.
Okay.
It's either not right at all or half right at best. A lot of times they'll see energy and they'll defend it with the fact that energy is neither created nor destroyed, so it has to go somewhere. Not wrong. However, the point they're missing is that energy comes in different forms. and it can transition from one form to another.
Right.
So chemical energy can transfer into heat, heat to chemical. When, let's say, you die, the reactions and all the things going on in your body, that's a form of energy, and it gets converted to something else. So it doesn't necessarily stay all together and just leave your body as one big mass of because a lot of the energy in your body is electrochemical, because you got ion gradients, cells. That's how a lot of that energy is created. And when you die, those ion gradients stop. So that's gone. It's just not there anymore. So you're not creating those differentials, and you don't have that energy. Or as you decompose, it's transferred into other types of energy.
Caloric.
So yeah, so it isn't used correctly. It isn't like, yeah, you could say, is your consciousness energy? Well, in a way, because you have so many impulses that are traveling through the neurons in your cell, in your body, or in your brain, and they move along the nerve cell, and then there's a chemical neurotransmitter emitted at the end that goes the other one that continues to signal and create the ion differentials and the action potentials. And it's all different types of energy, and biologically based. But when you die, that electrochemical energy doesn't stay together as like electricity. Like some people think you die, stays together. This is taking it to an extreme. The energy stays together as this electricity or electromagnetic field that can be picked up by EMF detectors, and then, oh wow, there's a ghost. So they really take the concept of being partially right and just pretty much screw it up from there. So there's my calm rant about energy.
Well,
Usually I'll start out with a fuck me.
I think it's yeah, I think we did a show on this
We did.
one time. Yeah. And it was basically, okay, we know where it goes. Basically, but I also think like energy, like with the ghost, I think sometimes it's just used as a placeholder, known or unknown, for something that they don't know how to say. In other words, if you don't know what's going on, it's a ghost. You just say it's a ghost. It's kind of like the X in algebra. I felt bad energy. Well, you felt something, obviously, because you can relay, you can orate that you have a feeling of something going on. That might be just something very natural. If you go into a very creepy place and you have a lot of haunted cues, I learned that word from David. Thank you very much. Dave, sorry. And your body reacts. Your body might have a physical reaction. And that includes things like your blood going to the core of your body for protection, fight or flight. And you have chills. Sometimes your vision gets a little different. And you have that happen to you, and maybe you don't know how to say that. So you just say, I walked into this place and got a really bad feeling. There's bad energy here. I think what you're describing is a natural reaction of your body trying to tell you, after like a couple 100,000, maybe million years of like, this is a bad place. Like everything in your being is we don't want to be here. We're going to get killed here. And this is just your body trying to tell you, or at least warn you, or put you on alert to swing first later, in case something happens. And I think a lot of times bad energy, or is a way just to describe that feeling.
Yeah. I'm with you guys. And I understand, like, I think that's the thing. Understanding. The general public, I don't think, has an understanding of the idea of like Einstein's or the law of thermodynamics, about how energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change forms, and it does, as you made it or stated, Dave. I mean, it changes forms. It doesn't just go to like a spooky place. I mean, it doesn't go to a spooky place. The electrical energy that goes through our body that comes from the brain and then stimulates the muscles and stuff like that, it dissipates. There's potential. We have a lot of potential energy in us. So when we die and the operation stops and ceases, like we start to break down, and we become food, a food source for other animals. And I mean, even like the gases that are in us, but there's so much that changes. Where does it go? Yes, we can. I mean, I can't do a full breakdown, but if you talk to a medical doctor, and I think there's plenty of documentaries out there that you can look at and see what does happen to the body as it breaks down, and the various kinds of energy does change forms. So yeah, there's that, and then I think you touched on it, Tim. Like it's a placeholder. That's what it is. It's a placeholder because it sounds new agey. You know, it has that metaphysical thing, like, oh, the ghost's energy. Like, what are you talking about there? And then I think somebody brought it up, like, what is there ghost energy? And there is not. There is not, as far as I know, no. There's nothing actually called like ghost energy. Nothing that has been measured, nothing has been defined. That's a concept that's based on belief, as far as I know, and it doesn't go any further than that. I think there's a lot of things, like I think you guys touched on it, like EMF from different, like your power lines, your electric motors from fans, like this thing here puts out a high EMF, and we can read that, and because it's invisible and this meter is picking it up, it's fascinating, and it can be really fascinating and mysterious to people that don't understand it. And I'm not saying that like people are stupid. It's just there's a lot of ignorance when it comes to science. And if you actually like sat down and started researching this and to understand it better, I think a lot of this mystery would go away.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's not stupid. It's not a bad thing. It's not stupid. Like we can't all know everything. We just can't. But it doesn't mean you can't read a credible source to get more accurate information, to have a better informed opinion. While you were talking about the Einstein, it made me think of us taking that the quantum physics course that we were going to just
the fail.
Oh God, it was terrible. Like we did like an introduction to quantum physics in one of the what's the name? I do love that school. You can get a lot of free classes. I can't remember. I taught Kenny into it.
Oh, the master class stuff?
No, I like that too. But you forget them. You can sign up. They come from different colleges. I think ours was from like University of Michigan. And a lot of them are free. And if you want credits for them, then you pay for the credits.
Right.
But we did it. Well, we didn't finish it. But I tell you something I learned from trying that. And that is when somebody, a layperson, begins to preach to you or talk to you or try to aver a point to you that it is quantum physics. And this, unless they have a background in quantum physics, just don't. Just really don't. It's fun to talk about. I love it. I love physics. I love it all. But I cannot give you an informed opinion on anything, especially quantum. Like that stuff is just amazing, but it is beyond my capability.
Was it
just
Coursera?
Is. What's that?
Coursera?
Oh yeah, that's it. Coursera. I do like that. Yeah, those are fun.
So let's move on. Oh, here's the question. Wisdom actually asked, is there such a thing as ghost energy?
Maybe, but
if there is, they haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's not because I don't know, but maybe. But I haven't read anything about it.
All right, moving on. Bob, I want to save some of your questions for later.
Because damn it, Bob. I want a shirt with "Damn it, Bob."
I'll try. I'll make you one.
Okay.
We'll just have a show
Bob's picture.
Damn it, Bob.
Oh, Cat! I forgot. I should have had a tiara on for tonight.
A tiara. All right. Cat Mac asks, Are you ever able to enjoy paranormal stories, shows, movies, especially during spooky season or when telling stories around a campfire? Or does none of it thrill you anymore?
I love it. I still
So do
love
I.
it.
So do I. I still find
I
it
do.
fun. I still watch, once in a while. I won't watch the traditional ghost hunting shows anymore. I've seen
No.
enough of those. But like scariest places on earth, I'll watch it because they visit some cool fucking places. Come on,
Yeah.
they're cool places.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I enjoy it. I still enjoy it. I still like a good scary story, a good ghost story, and I find it interesting. I think it's cool.
Yeah. If we're visiting some place that they have a local ghost tour, absolutely, I'm going to do it. It's just I still enjoy it. I do.
I love them. I love certain ones, like paranormal stories. I enjoy listening to a good ghost story.
Mhm.
If it's told right, you have that history, you have the mystery, you have the drama. I do enjoy listening or reading a good ghost story. When it comes to shows and mysteries, or shows and movies, it depends. Like your standard, just straight up horror movie, eh, they don't do anything for me. Like I sit there. I usually have them on as a distraction, and I don't really pay attention because you can usually tell when the jump scares are coming. I like the more psychological ones that make
Mhm.
you think and
Yep.
hit you with that big twist at the end, and you're like, "Holy shit! I did not see that coming." And then you go back, especially like the series. Like what was that last series? It was about like a whole family and
Haunting of
their
Hill House.
maybe that might be it.
It was a much better. Well, I can't say much
Hmm.
better, but it was a newer take on that story.
And then you had to go back and look because like there was a ghost that appeared in scenes and they didn't acknowledge it, they didn't
Yes.
do anything, and it just like you had to really look for it. And I was like, that's cool. I like that kind of stuff. Um, but everything else, like, it doesn't really do much for me anymore. But that's just me. All right, good question. Let's see what else we got. Um, Wayne, if ghosts do exist, what kind of energy would you think they'd use?
That's a good question.
Hmm.
That's a reverse question.
Yeah.
That's a bizarro. I've
Hmm.
never thought about it that way. What would they use?
What would they do? Um, huh. I don't. I don't know. There'd have to be. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, what would allow something to and going off the traditional qualities that are believed to be associated with ghosts. How would one be able to be transparent, but also opaque and solid, but also be able to pass through certain objects and not others? Like i.e., walk through walls but not fall through floors, because that's a movie plot, a narrative.
The normal force.
Be able to affect things when they are not visible or doesn't look like they're touching it. Like there's a lot there. That would be. I mean, I would attribute maybe that to some kind of magnetism. I don't know. This is out of my wheelhouse. I'm going to say I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. I really like that question.
It's a deep.
My mind is thinking. I guess there's reports and there's ghost stories from a long time ago before there was stuff like that you could just attribute it to EMF and everything. So, what else? I like the magnetism thing. Maybe it's like a magnetic. That's always around. Geo. Oh shit! I'm starting to get a buzz. Geomagnetic.
Geomagnetic.
Yes.
Shut up, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The types of energy we know about now, if ghosts were made of that and could use that, you think somebody would have figured that out by now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know everything. Obviously, there could be something else there, but I really don't know. That's a good question. I think what we do know, what we can say today, is based on what we do know. It's not one of those, most likely.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so many problems with the forms that we do know. So, like, yeah, if we talk about magnetism, that that joke by Kat was, it's funny, but it's also true. Like if you walked by a whole bunch of magnets, would they not be attracted to you or to the ghost? Could you not set up a whole bunch of magnets on the floor? Oh shit! Now we're gonna see ghost hunters buy packs and packs of magnets. Write that down. We'll sell it.
Oh, let's do it. I've got my notebook out. Tradition.
There you go. The ghostly magnetic field. Whole bunch of magnets. Ooh, we could tie them together with fishing line, and then it becomes a ghost net. Because it'll just go all the way around them.
I mean, there's only one study right now that I can think of where they found an association in the number of spikes or dips in the electromagnetic field that correlated with some ghostly activity. But that's one study, and most of the other ones were one said one thing, one said another. And then even if you get to that point, let's say you somebody said, oh, well, then it's electromagnetic fields. No, because a lot of other studies didn't find that. And two, how do you know that things aren't just varying in the environment and you're just perceiving the effects as like your body sees it as some sort of ambiguous stimulation that your body doesn't know what to do with. And then if it is electromagnetic, yeah, it could affect things in the environment, physical objects, but it might not be the ghost. It might not be a ghost. It might not be a ghost that's there. It might not be a ghost made up of EMF, and it might not be a ghost affecting or manipulating or using that energy. I mean, those are things. If a ghost was using electromagnetic fields, you should be able to manipulate the environment and basically feed them and see things happen. There's things people put out the EM pumps, but there's no definitive experiment or any data that shows that they're manipulating those fields besides, again, one study. And again, though, that doesn't necessarily mean causation and correlation. That whole argument, correlation isn't causation. So I don't think it's worked out yet. So that's, I don't know. I'm back to my original. I don't know if there is some sort of energy they're manipulating or made of. We haven't figured it out yet.
I mean, I want to real quick because we have a lot of questions now.
Okay.
But, I want to just add on to that, like the EM pump. Not only do I hate it and think it's a waste of money, but if you want to put electromagnetic energy into the environment, buy a fucking desk fan. This little fan that's off to the side here.
Go to the Goodwill store and find one of those old ass clocks, alarm clocks that you plug in. Those things throw off a shit ton. That
thing, I had this little fan next to a EM pump, like an official like $80 one, and this was putting out a higher field, a stronger field at a longer distance than this little pump, this $80 pump, and this cost me $5 to get. I mean, I'm not saying it works, but there you go. If that was something that actually worked, there you go. I mean, all of this stuff that's surrounding me, I'm in the middle of several EM fields. So if this is like food for ghosts, which is just silly. But if it was, then this is where something would happen, right in my seat. I should be possessed. I should be doing a Zach Baggins right now. But I'm not gonna, because that's weird. It feels icky. I feel dirty now.
So
all right.
I'll leave it at this, but like while we were talking, I started thinking about radioactive decay. And so I looked it up because I was like, is that energy? I don't know if it's energy. I think it's energy. And it looks like it's radioactive decay is the emission of energy in the form of ionizing radiation. So I would imagine maybe that's been around long enough.
I don't know. Not that I've done every possible study around, but I used to run Geiger counters at haunted locations for years.
True.
Never.
There
was one time somebody said they had an experience and there was a weird photo and there's actually a shift in the electromagnetic field as well. And the background radiation levels dropped down to 0, correlated perfectly. And then when it was all said and done and it was over, it went back to normal. But that's one thing out of thousands of data points. And when you look at all the times where people reported an experience supposedly and that didn't happen, kind of negates the one time it did.
All right.
Chernobyl
All right,
So
hold on.
full
I
of
got
ghosts.
this is good shit. I got to write all this down. That's a good question. Fuck, I could be up all night.
all right. Next question. Steph says, so what about these people who say they were SA by an entity?
Sexually
I don't know
assaulted.
what that- Oh, okay. By an entity. What kind of energy is that, or is it mental illness or possible looking for attention? Well, I mean, I'll start off by saying that making an assumption that, and I guess we'll keep calling it SA, is some kind of paranormal energy. I think is just that's just full blown speculation, and that's I don't think that's something to consider. When somebody says that they were assaulted by some kind of ghost in this kind of way, then I'm leaning towards either there's a mental health issue, or yes, there's attention. It's attention seeking. Like the woman that married the pirate ghost. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be serious when I said that. That married the pirate ghost and then divorced the pirate ghost. I mean, there was no evidence whatsoever. I think that was an attention grab. But for
There was
this,
the entity too. Do you remember?
yes,
Yeah.
the Doors by their case, yeah. And that, I mean, as far as I know, there were no actual signs of.
Sorry, cat cracked me up.
There were other issues because the other factors in that case have to be considered, because there was a drug and alcohol problem with that. So taking the story at face value is just not something that you can do, because we don't know the mental state. And there were other factors with the house itself, not like supernatural things, but the house was condemned like twice over. So it was not an ideal living condition. Who knows what's in there? And then plus with the other substance abuse issues. Yeah, that's a whole different case. But with this, yeah, I mean, I think I'm struggling here with the part about like SA by entity, like what kind of energy is that? I mean, I don't think it is a kind of energy. That's where I'm stuck at.
For what she described and what was depicted in the movie, it would have to have almost some sort of physical mass or be some very extreme form of a known energy to cause what happened. But again, it's tough to say if that's what really happened or if it was something going on with the house, the house being condemned, or mental illness. And if it's some sort of, even if it was let's say a ghost was made of an electromagnetic field purely and you were sexually assaulted by that ghost, I don't know how would you begin to prove that? I mean, it'd be really difficult unless, horribly if somebody filmed it when it was happening, but that just hasn't happened. And not knowing what kind of energy is, or even if it did happen, there'd be very little, like in a criminal case, there wouldn't be any evidence to figure out what exactly happened. So I think in the case, if you're thinking of the movie The Entity, I think there's a lot of questions, as Kenny's already brought up.
Yeah.
A lot of things we can poke holes in that maybe that didn't happen. Not saying it 100% for sure it didn't, but I just think there's other things going on that need to be considered first.
So yeah, there's a follow-up that she was thinking about The Entity, the movie, and that's something we can comment on too, because that was a dramatization. I mean, you first had a horror writer write a book on the case, and there were a lot of liberties taken with the alleged experiences. And then when it went to the movie, especially the movie, one thing to consider, like the ending with the I think it was a school gymnasium, and they had the big tanks of
liquid nitrogen,
liquid
freeze the ghost.
nitrogen. That never happened. Like it was that was not that didn't happen. It was just something that was made up for the movie.
And I think
So
they had another. I was wondering if they were considering it demonic energy, if it's real or poltergeist. As far as I remember, the parapsychologists and psychologists who did investigate that, nobody ever considered it demonic. I think at the most they thought if it was going to be explained parapsychologically, it was potentially a poltergeist case.
So
I have.
I'll
Go ahead.
do a completely, I guess, a different point of view. I guess I would think if someone would come to me, or at least would call for help, and the first thing that they came out was that they were SA'd, I would take that very seriously, and not I would not dismiss making sure that medical and medical just a general, and making sure that law enforcement was known.
Yeah.
Because what's kind of going through my mind is, if they are previously going through some type of mental problems, if they're on medication, or if they were drugged, and then SA'd that way. So let's just say they were at the bar and someone drugged them, got them back home, and then their recollection of the event seemed like it was paranormal, seemed like it was demonic. I think you still should have, you should never not take it in the same way as you would, because it could be in times of trauma, a trauma like that, if they were under the influence, and it's not their fault they're under the influence. No means no. You don't have consent when somebody's under the influence, period. So their interpretation of what happened might be completely different, and might feel like it was something like an entity or demonic.
No, that's a good
So
point.
I would still make sure law enforcement, make sure their family, somebody that they trusted, I don't know, and make sure that they had access to immediate care.
Yep.
And this ties in nicely with what we were talking about earlier about not going out of your wheelhouse. If you're approached with something like that, that's why it's so important not to assume because you're a ghost hunter or you call yourself a paranormal investigator means that you know what you're doing. And you should always push for, hey, first thing you do, talk to your GP. And in cases like this, like Tim said, you contact the local police and just let them know, because that could be trouble for you, big trouble for you if you do the wrong thing. All right, moving on. We got a bunch of questions, man. I love it. I love it. This is great. This is a long one from Bob. Let me see if I can word this correctly. If you were to do a paranormal investigation, would you rather have the information ahead of time that the place is haunted, in quotes, or would you rather someone call and ask if you can investigate just to see if there was anything paranormal activity on a property that had no previous claims and the customer is just curious? Does that make sense? All right. So like what it sounds like to me is like they have either they have a claim that the place is haunted and they have weird things they can report, or, hey, I don't know if my house is haunted. I'm just curious if you come out and see what, if there is anything. That's what I'm getting out of that.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I would rather have one with claims, and hopefully they're testable claims. Otherwise, I'm not sure what you would look for otherwise.
Sorry, you're getting covered up, Dave.
Okay. It depends on what you're trying to do.
Right.
If you are trying to, investigate, somebody says there's cold spots and then the table and chairs move. You'd probably want to know that so you know what to do, what claims to investigate, even if you're doing a research project, what to research, what to look at, what data to collect. But if you're doing a general paranormal investigation, I think you would not want to know. If you're just trying to figure out if there's maybe paranormal activity there, you're probably not going to want to know if that's the approach if you're into seeing if there's a ghost there or not, you probably don't want to know, because then you're biased. Then you know what to expect. You're looking for things, you're kind of primed. So I would say you'd probably not want to know the specific areas or specifically what's going on. So to me, it's all about what you're trying to do and how do you approach it. Are you trying to solve a mystery for somebody? Are you doing a research project where you need something very specific? Or are you coming in there just to explore if people are having experiences, or you want to take a broad look at the house, the environment, the people, the dynamics of what's going on? Then, it really, bottom line is, it depends on what your goals are as either an investigator, somebody who's going to solve a mystery, or a researcher.
Right. For me, I want to know. I'm not. I can't. This is going to sound bad. I think it's going to sound bad.
As your attorney, type it over to me and I'll let you know if it's okay or not.
Hold on a second, everyone. I got to consult. No, I mean, I to save time, I think for me, I'm not interested in going to a place where it's like, hey, nothing's happened. Just come on over and see if something happened. I don't think that's good. Good thing to do. And if it's going to a ghost hunting team, and I'm talking in a general stereotype sense here, if it's going to a ghost hunting team who gets a lot of alleged evidence, I think that's also a bad idea, because now they're going in looking for something, and they may be going in with that bias. So for me, like I want to know, one, if there are claims, like what am I looking for, and two, as Tim said, like testable claims. And if you have some testable claims that a homeowner or a business owner don't understand, if you can't figure out what's going on, and then you reach out, then I'll talk to you. I mean, I'll talk to almost anyone, but we'll have a conversation about it, and I'll see if I can get there to investigate, because then that gives me something to actually do. I'm not going to go to a place and sit there for 4 hours in the dark and just talk to a microphone. I'm not going to me, I know a lot of people do it for a hobby, but to me, that's just a waste of time. I want to, there's got to be a purpose to investigate, like that's, when I think of investigator, I think more like lines of like police and forensics. Like they don't investigate just to see what might happen. There's a crime that happened, and that's why they're investigating. Something happened, and they got to figure out what happened. So that's how I see it. All right, I'm trying to talk as fast as possible because
we're in the lightning round.
And we're in
lightning round.
We're only an hour show. I didn't mention that in the beginning. Like the Three Tortured Souls is usually just an hour show.
But we'll do the lightning round type of approach.
All right. So let's see. Here we go. Mark's Random Curiosities. Nice. I like that name. Is the energy more of a frequency when someone refers to feeling a negative energy?
I'll go first. I don't know of much literature showing that certain types of frequencies lead to positive or negative feelings. There was at a time literature that would suggest like positive ions tend to lead to a more negative feeling, but that actually has changed. New research has shed some light on that. Negative energy, again, if they're not using the term appropriately, you can walk into a room and there's actually a lot of environmental cues that can cause you to feel negative and down. So I'll leave that very short answer there. We could spend an hour on this topic.
Yeah,
I'll
go.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's exactly I'm just going to +1 for Dave on that. I go back to I think you feel something. Like I think people are describing something that they actually feel, but I think that could be explained biologically, because when you think about negative energy, we don't talk about like when somebody sees someone they haven't seen in a long time that they really care for, they feel good. I guess that would be positive energy, except they would say, I'm so happy to see you. and the contextual cues, just like he said, I think really begin some old hundreds of thousands of years of this is how you're going to stay alive. This is not a good place. We've heard the stories. Somebody's got hurt. It's going to be bad.
Yep.
And I think that it's not necessarily that you're going to falsify and mistake something as a ghost, but just speaking about the feeling that you get, I think that causes your body to begin a little bit of self-preservation, which could feel tense.
And the other thing to mention with frequency is related to cycles per second and the electromagnetic spectrum. And different frequencies are different things. Like red light is a different frequency than UV light, than radiation, than visible light. Those are all different frequencies, but they don't really have anything to do with negative or positive.
Right. And I'm going to use my time to just build on what you guys said. And like, if you walk into a room and you read the room, you're not reading like, you're not some kind of like calibrated instrument that's reading specific energy signatures or anything like that. You are reading the environment, as in like the setting. Is it dark? Is it bright? Is it decorated a certain way? The people that are in there, are they smiling at you? You know, if you walk into a room and you see somebody that's like, "Hey, how you doing? You know, it's so great to see you." That's a positive response. So you're going to feel better about going in that room. If you walk into a room and there's two people that are kind of near each other, but they're like tense and their faces are drawn down and they just don't look happy, that's tension. That's what you're feeling. You feel the tension, but you're not actually feeling the tension. You're observing the tension and you're interpreting, saying, "Oh shit, you know, they just had a fight."
It only happens when Tim's not around running security.
That's right. I have a perfect record on security. Thank you very much.
Yeah, perfect 0.
No, you can't name a time.
Bad.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
we're not getting into this.
It's perfect.
All right, sorry.
Perfect.
Onward.
All right, but yeah, I don't think there's a negative positive. It's just, you know, reading the room. All right, that's good. Next question. What if the theory is wrong and energy can be created and destroyed? Well, cool. I would just jump in there and say it would be interesting, but you need to do a lot of science. You need to science the shit out of that idea to show that that's what's happening.
I think you'd have a better chance arguing that by some ghostly means the energy could be manipulated. Not sure it's going to be created or destroyed. You might have a better argument saying it could be manipulated.
Yeah, I saw Patrick Swayze
overturn major theories in physics, so that's going to be a tough.
He had to push it really hard and just like,
it's all right there, man.
Dark side of the force. You had to get mad. All right, that's good. Let's see. Special Ed, what's up? I don't mean to laugh at that. I wasn't expecting that name. Could you guys discuss the epidemic of demon scratches that seem to plague so many online ghost hunter entertainment channels? And how is it that their outer layers of clothes never get ripped? I'm right with you.
I have one idea, which I picked up in some papers I was reading on electromagnetic field sensitivity. There's a whole bunch of papers that come out relatively recently on this, and there might be a possible mechanism where certain fields at a certain frequency used appropriately, that at a certain magnitude, that could potentially cause your body to release histamine, and that's why you might see welts, which is actually something I wanted to talk to you guys about. I've been meaning to start putting feelers out there for people to give potential locations where people report consistent scratches, and to do some sort of study on what type of frequencies and field variations you see there, because there is a potential biological mechanism there. Beyond that, I think it's people potentially bumping into things or scratching themselves or an allergic reaction to something. Some of these places are nasty ass old places, and I don't know about you, but if I so much as brush up against something that's fairly dusty and dirty, I can get a welt just because my body reacts to it as an allergic reaction.
Well, let me start out by saying this is why we love Dave. When Dave says, I read a study recently, he's not lying. He's not lying. So just shut it. You just be quiet.
Oh, no. Ask for the study. I'll give it to you if you want.
Mm-hmm. And he'll email it to you. I can't go anything. I can't go anything beyond what Dave said. You know, the only thing I come up with when I hear things like this is, you know, it bothers me that like some powerful, you know, creature that could travel through dimensions of places strong enough to live through hell and be I guess a doer of Satan, crawls up through
scratch, Tim.
Yeah, crawls up through rock and bone and blood, and they get to your ass, and the only thing they're going to do is give you 3 scratches. No.
I mean, I'd be
But it's the Holy Trinity.
That don't make no sense.
The full effect. Throw Tim's ass against the wall, man, and press him.
Yeah.
3 scratches, man, that's Wolverine. Come on, people.
So that would, but according to this, the outer, not having the outer layer of the clothes not ripped or show any effects would, if there is a biological mechanism and it's causing some sort of skin reaction or histamine release, that would explain it.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't mean the demon couldn't be doing it. I don't know for 100% sure.
I mean, I agree. I agree, and the topic you brought up, Dave, is interesting, and we definitely have to pursue that. But I think, a lot of these TV shows, I think it's for show. I think it's for entertainment. It's for shock value. It's easy to do. Some of the scratches are not only within reach of someone's hand, but they also follow the curvature of the movement. If they were reaching back and scratching like this, there is a curvature. It's not going to be straight. There's a curve to it that flows with your anatomy. So you have to consider that. I think it's easy to do. I think as long as you have something sharp or your nails, yeah, you can do this and come up with it. But I think there's a difference between, like, because when you're bringing up the idea of welts forming, like I've had welts, they've never looked like scratches to me. I mean, I'm not saying that it can't be, but they usually are like just in different places, not in straight lines that are like 6-7 inches long or something like that.
But I mean, I'll say maybe you haven't seen it, but being as allergic to as I am to like pine needles.
Okay.
If I have a pine needle that doesn't break the skin, it just kind of rides along it. I get a elongated.
Okay.
Like a scratch.
Touching. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know.
So is it a scratch or is it a raised?
Oh, that's a good point, because I think a lot of time, that's a really good point, and that's something you'd have to look at. Is it broken skin, or is it simply 3 raised lines? Now, I've seen both, supposedly, from the TV shows where you have actually legit scratches where there's blood, but then I've seen a lot that are just basically like long elongated welts.
Right.
So I think that's a good point.
Like I would like to see close-up images. I mean, like I just used a paper clip and I put this line on me.
You should try that with a laser and see what happens.
Oh, I could. I think that would be more permanent. But you can see, like, I think you can see. I don't know.
If I can see it pretty good.
You can see it, yeah. And I mean, it's not hard to do, and that will fade in a few hours. Like that's something else I would like to see. You know, like when they say, "Oh, I got scratched." If you actually got scratched by something sharp that left a decent mark, like broke the skin, it should be there hours later. You would expect it. But these are usually just very superstitial or circumstantial. Is that what it is?
Superficial.
Subsurface. Yeah, superficial. Thank you.
Another
One of
word.
those words
Another word. Hold on.
But
that
Superficial.
I mean, supposed demonic cases, people report not just scratches like that, but like letters carved into them.
right.
So I'd love to see those form in person. Sucks to be the person that it's happening to, I would imagine, but it'd be really interesting to see. But there's also psychosomatic things that there might, and we talked about stigmata on one of our shows.
Yeah.
That could be the ultimate form of psychosomatic formation of abrasions or openings or cuts on your skin.
All right, let's move on because we're doing good. We got a couple more questions here. Mark's random curiosities. Isn't it plausible for poltergeist to be an uncontrolled telekinetic reaction to a person's anxiety neurosis? And also, do you think this telekinesis affects the EMF? Dave?
Dave. Dave.
I'll start from.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I'll start from a parapsychological perspective. That was the ongoing hypothesis that the psychokinetic, it's recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis. And they believe it was due to emotional stress, not just in young girls, not just young teenage girls. It happens in a variety of different ages. It seems to be more centered around teenage girls, which maybe not the hormonal thing, but because that's a time of life they're going through a lot of stress. So the parapsychological hypothesis, one of them is that it's due to the emotional stress that isn't vented properly. And then when they release the stress, it affects things in the environment. And there's a number of studies that look at poltergeist effects and showing that it's actually, there might be some focusing. It could be area focus. It could be symbolic target focused. So those are a couple of the things they've noticed. So maybe, but some of the more recent work looking at everything from intelligent ghosts, hauntings, poltergeists, it might actually just be a spectrum of the same phenomena. And the reason for that phenomena being paranormal or not, that's debatable. But it looks more like there might be a spectrum of things going on. Now, the question about could telekinesis, or what they now call psychokinesis, not many people use telekinesis anymore, could it affect EMF? Again, a parapsychological interpretation is, and a hypothesis is, psychokinesis is goal oriented, it's goal directed. It doesn't, I know there's certain studies or people, not studies, people reporting, and I haven't ever seen a research report on it, but one time somebody was asked, they had a little device or a little slab of metal or something underneath, and they had a laser pointing down at it, and they told this supposed poltergeist agent to move the laser or move the device underneath because the laser was being used to measure it, right? So what ended up happening is the device, it was showing movement. And they're like, well, that's weird. We don't see the thing down here moving. What they supposedly found was the person was bending the laser. So there's no research report on it. That's just one.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish there was. That would be interesting.
I was like, where is this?
If it is goal oriented, and you do see, supposedly there's a lot of reports of electromagnetic and magnetic and electric effects with people who are reportedly poltergeist agents. Possible. I don't think we've ever, I don't know of anything where they've had somebody who's supposedly the poltergeist agent being able to consciously affect EMF. But then again, most supposed poltergeist agents aren't able to affect anything in a lab for the most part when they're focusing on it. Then they supposedly stop focusing on it and it happens. So I don't know. There's no good data there. Again, that's strictly a parapsychological hypothesis, is that poltergeist activity is the release of emotional distress that isn't released in normal ways. And then there's actually even some recent papers where I think Lloyd, Lloyd Kenny and
Yeah.
somebody else, Brian Williams, they investigated a supposed poltergeist case and it resolved with counseling. So, but then that starts to question, did the counseling just fix something that was normal? And then they were interpreting things as poltergeists or ghosts, or was there actually poltergeist psychokinetic activity? So,
Right.
as you're finding out on this show, you're never going to get a one-sided straight answer.
No, that's Dave's wheelhouse. I yes, what Dave? I agree with Dave.
But then again, it could just be a big fat no, and it's all things that are misinterpreted.
Yep.
I think I'm stuck on plausible. The word plausible. Like for me personally, I don't know that it's possible. I think it's possible, but maybe not. I don't know if it's plausible. I don't know.
The actual data looking though, if you know how people would say, oh, the poltergeist is an emotionally distressed young woman, the data and the actual psychological workup on most of those is pathetic. So there's really no way to conclude that if you
Okay.
really dig back into that literature.
All right. Moving on. Good question. That was all Dave. I'm glad. I'm so glad. Wisdom. Do you think there are a large amount of people who don't talk about their experiences because they are afraid of what people will say?
I can see that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's across the board, though, not just, ghosts or paranormal topics in general. I mean, it's anything that's weird. I think people do have issues about talking about it. And I mean, but this is an unknown, too. I want to point that out, too. It's an unknown and it can be a speculation, because I've also heard, especially with like UFO and Bigfoot communities, where it's like, well, there's probably hundreds of or thousands of unreported case reports or experiences because they're afraid, and that is literally speculation. Because if they're unreported, then you don't know. You really don't know if there's hundreds or thousands or even tens. You just don't know until they're reported. So it's one of those catch-22 things. Like, yeah, there potentially could be a lot of people out there that had experiences and they're just afraid of ridicule or being made fun of or being like looked at strange because they had some kind of experience. And then on the other side, it's like, do we really know that there's hundreds? We don't. And I don't think it's fair to, I don't know if that's the right word. I think it's an issue if people bring it up like this.
Could be. Depends on who you're talking to.
Right.
The social context, the people you're talking to. If anything good about, if you can call it good, if there's anything good about the paranormal shows, I think it actually opened the door to having people feel more comfortable talking about strange things that happen to them.
Right. I agree. All right. Good. Tim, anything to add?
Nope.
We're going to let Tim go first. Next question.
Oh, well, this is interesting then. Joe Vitale. Besides handcuffs, cat balls, SLS, and the DR60, are there any gadgets you'd like to use? Joe's just fucking with us. I personally love my notebook. My notebook and pen are probably the greatest tools that I can bring because it's versatile, lets me take down notes and details about everything that's going on, and I constantly write in it. Yes, I love my camera. Love my audio recorder, not for EVP sessions, but for dictating notes that I cannot just write down at the moment. And it's much easier to speak into a recorder as I'm looking at things and describing it, and then transcribe it later. So those are my my camera, my audio recorder, my spirit level. That's a gadget I love because it helps me understand if steps or floors or doors or windows are level or when they're not, especially floors and stairs. one place I went to, like they kept saying that one of the major claims was people felt like they were falling down the stairs. Guess what? Of course they did, because the stairs were like that. Like ridiculously off on level. It was ridiculous. And I mean, so yeah, that's my answer. There you go.
Tim, why don't you go before I go?
This might be different, but I would, there's a certain person that makes some paranormal equipment, and I would really enjoy getting a hold of one of them. I don't want to make a huff about it or, anything like that, but I sure would like to test it and then publicly put the results out and see just how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
I would love to have one of those.
And I'll add in anything. I wouldn't mind experimenting with anything that is not marketed as a ghost hunting device. That is a data logger, and it comes with complete specs that I know what it's doing, and I'd be willing to take a look at it and run it in both haunted and non-haunted locations and see what comes up.
That's an interesting. I'm glad you said that, Dave. That you would like a device that comes with specs, because so many of these devices just do not. They come with usually like one piece of paper that tells you turn it on, put it in a haunted area, and if it lights up, you probably have a ghost. Like that's usually the extent of these instructions, and there's no specs on it. I forget the one device, the triangle looking thing. It looks like a triangle. It does like some kind of motion sensor out the sides and like temperature or something. It's got a red light and a green light on either side, but that had like an alarm for temperature change, but it didn't have specs on what triggered it, like how much of a temperature difference was necessary for it to light up, like 0.1 degree or 1 degree or 5 degrees, like what was it? And it didn't tell you. And I had to contact the manufacturer, and I use that term loosely, to get a spec. And that's the problem. That's one of the reasons, one of the many reasons I take this shit apart, is because I want to see what's inside, what are the components, and then go to the manufacturer of that component and say, all right, there's the spec sheet. Now I know what I'm dealing with. Because otherwise it's like, if you need 5 degrees for it to go off, or if you need 0.1 degree for something to go off, that's a huge difference. Like you could walk in the room and within a minute or so, you could have that change easy. But you've already sat down and it's like, well, it went off. There must be something here. And if it goes off like every 0.1 degree, you're going to have this significant change, this light up. So yeah, it's a really important. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad, because that's a really important point. All right. I think that's it. There were some fun questions, but we're way over time here. And there's some, oh wait, here's one. Did I do this? You may have answered this before. Have you ever found anything on an investigation or experienced anything that you could not explain? And this can be our last question for the night. So, Dave.
Since really getting involved in this since the early 90s, I would say there's 4 locations, 4 things that I can't explain. I'm not going to say they're a ghost, but I'm going to say at this point, they're just unexplainable. Someday they might be. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I've had one that still sticks out. I don't know. I felt like I got, I don't want to say hit in the back of the head in a basement. This was in my ghost hunting days. But like someone, like when someone takes their finger and rubs it up, I remember my hat shift, but right after that, I got really sick.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought I was going to have to go outside and throw up. So I don't know what that was about.
told you not to get that burrito from the gas station.
I
That's
think
on
it
you.
was. I think it was the maybe something else I bought behind the gas station. I shouldn't have gone.
Sushi.
You got week old sushi. That was
Yeah. For me, I mean, right now, answering now, I would say, well, actually, yeah. I mean, there's really an easy answer to this. Yeah, there's always something that you can't explain, and that's usually because of lack of information. If you hear, like, for the example that comes to mind is that I was at the White Hill Mansion, a place that Tim went to with me. But I was there with my wife and the caretaker. At the time, it was just the three of us, and we were in the basement, which had a like really nice bar.
Very nice
bar. Like, we're talking speakeasy, like really, really nice bar area. And we're down there talking, and we hear this bang, this big bang. And it sounded like something hit the house, hit the mansion. So we ran upstairs, and we looked all over the place. We went up to the second floor, the top floor, looked out the windows, because there was a restaurant area that was part of it that was only like one story high. So we were looking on the roof of that to see, but we couldn't find anything. And I mean, that is something I can't explain. I can't explain what caused that noise, but I'm not going to jump to paranormal because I don't know what caused it. And that's just simple as that. If you can't find the source, you can't say it's something because you don't know. But yeah, I mean, there's been things like that. There's been like the shadow somebody sees down the hall, and by the time you get there, you don't know what caused it. I don't know if a bird flew past the window and caused the shadow. I don't know, car headlights, stuff like that. There's all kinds of things like that happens. But I will say that I have gone back, because I did start as a ghost hunter, and there were many years I was a ghost hunter, and I filled out my little reports, which were, when you read them years later, it's so embarrassing. So embarrassing. And like, not just the stories and the assumptions, but the grammar and the spelling was horrible. But looking back, I did go back and look at them, and I was able to do further research or get into it, or the knowledge that I have gained over the years, I was able to put explanations to them. So I resolved a lot of the stuff that I had reported as paranormal in years prior, which I like. I mean, that's for me, that's a good accomplishment for myself, like a personal goal. So, but there you go. That's it. I think we're good on questions. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm going to take that off. Yeah. And we're half hour over our regular time. This is great. I love this. We had so many people tonight. Final thoughts on the show in general. I'm going to start down the bottom here with Dave.
I like open mic night. One, I don't have to do a lot of prep work. Two, it's more whatever comes to mind, and we can just shoot the shit and have a good time. So a lot of good questions. Appreciate everybody coming in and chatting tonight. And you posed some tough questions there. Some things that piqued our interest, I think, that we're going to look into and give some thought to. And you'll probably have a whole lot of messages going back on Messenger between the three of us. Further discussion on those. So
yeah,
nice job. That was great.
Yeah. All right, Tim.
Well, I enjoyed it. It's refreshing. I'm glad that people were watching and had lots of great questions, especially that one. I wrote it down. It was just a really fascinating, kind of like almost like a thought experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Like what would they do? Which is great. And I like that. But it's good to, also, if it was just us, just be able to bitch and moan and gripe about some things. And I think I certainly see a certain person that's piqued our interest lately in doing some vampirism, I guess, of grief. That I am ready. I'm ready. I should have set up the deal a long time ago, but I think I might reach out to this person and ask for some mentorship and see what we can do to get a show about it. And then we can invite that person on the show to see if he can support his claims.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Money is, he won't come on.
Yeah, that was the bet. I think that my prediction. I don't think we're even going to get past. I don't think we're going to get a response.
Well, he doesn't know, like, he doesn't know who I am at this point. So, and he offered like all this. He's like, I'll show you how to do it. I'll do this. And I just
So
haven't emailed him back. So I should.
here you go. Here you go. When I die and this person tries to contact me, I'm going to tell him to go on 3 Tortured Souls.
Are you kidding? We're going to be dead too.
Two tortured souls.
2 tortured and 0. That's finally when Tyron's going to take over because we'll be dead.
Yeah.
All right. My final thoughts, same thing. I love open mic night. I mean, I think it's fun to get the variety of questions and topics, and we never know what's going to come up, and it makes us think. And I love that. I love when it forces us to step back and go, shit, like, I don't know about that. Like I never thought about it. Let's think about it. And it usually gives us time because somebody will have an answer quicker than the other two. And that gives the other two a little bit more time to think about it. Like, all right, what am I going to say here? But that's about it. Thank you everyone for showing up. Dave, you got anything coming up?
Nope.
I forgot about this. This is the best part of closing the show.
Tim, you got anything coming up?
Hold on, let me check.
Check your schedule. No. Make sure your work schedule's up to date.
It is.
All right. So for me, if anyone watching is in the Buffalo, New York area, starting Friday night, we are having a Skeptic Camp event, which means Friday night is like a social hangout. You can find it on, if you search Google for Western New York CFI, the page will come up. You can see the events. Not to mention Kenny misspelled the word Mike.
You did?
Oh, I did. Open my night. Like, what the hell is that? Damn it. Thanks for pointing that out.
Wisdom. He's got some observation skills.
I know. I like that. He also wrote one of my theme songs, the outro song, which is badass, and I dance and sing to it all the time. So Skeptic Camp is basically the Saturday is going to be an entire day of lectures. We have a whole bunch of people. We have Stephen Hupp, which is the editor of Skeptical Inquirer magazine, not to confuse with the other guy. We have Professor Stevens, who's going to be talking about anthropology. We're going to have Coleman Watts. There's a bunch of people that are coming in, and it's going to be a really entertaining weekend. So if you're available for that, that's great. Besides that, one other thing I want to talk about real quick is September 6th and 7th. I'll be in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, for the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Camping Weekend. It's a weekend event. It's a Bigfoot event. I'm speaking at it, which is going to be interesting. Skeptic.
You need security?
Bigfoot. Yeah, I'm scared. I got to tailor my talk in a non-confrontational way because there's a lot of people with guns. So I want to be careful. Anyway, that's all I'm going to talk about right now. Our next show for 3 Tortured Souls should be, barring any conflict or anything like that, should be August 7th. So if you're available, if you guys want to come out and hang out with us, August 7th, 8 p.m. Eastern time, we will be doing it. We usually do a show the first Wednesday of every month, and we get together like this and we pick a topic. Whose turn is it?
I think it's my turn again.
Dave? All right.
Just tell me, Tim, though, when you're ready for that haunted object show.
Oh, yeah.
We have to
I'll defer my time to you.
I want to do that. I want to get them on, and but I want to talk to you about the scale and understanding it and getting you the information too.
All right.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
Is everything else set for that?
Yeah, I've got all the papers. Like I said, there's only like 3 things, I think.
Okay. All right. So maybe we can do that for the next show. You guys can get together and talk about that. Yeah. We can talk about the haunted object experiment that Tim spearheaded. And
yes.
It should be interesting. Yeah, it should
If
be.
somebody else, like, I would love for people to replicate it. So if you want to see what we did, I think it's like a good, when people say you can't test it, I'm thinking, well, maybe we can try.
You can.
Okay. Yeah.
So we figured out how we're going to test if something's haunted, and we came up with, I think, a pretty good idea. So I'm definitely open to criticism. It needs to be criticized. I need somebody out there smarter than me to go, oh, gee, you fucked this up so bad. I need that feedback, because whoever's going to replicate it, if they wish, will have a better scope of what to do next than I did. And that would be better going forward with another test.
And I just want to give a shout out to Sorta Ricken, because he's been on the show. And I know he made a comment earlier about saying his name out loud because he likes when I say his name. So I did it. There you go. Sorry I didn't get to the question, but we're definitely running over time. Yeah, we'll see you guys in, oh my gosh, it's not a month. It's like
next week.
It's 3 weeks. 3 weeks from now. So in 3 weeks, we'll be back on for this. And then again, also oh my God, I've got the shows mixed up. No Skeptical Help Bar this Friday. I'll have a show next Friday with, I'll have a guest. Ben Radford will be here in studio because he's staying a couple more days after we have a big work event going on next week, which is why I'm so freaking busy. But he'll be here hanging out. So you'll have two people to ask questions to. All right. With that, I'm going to play our outro music and make sure I don't screw up the ending.
You will.
Like Paul Vicker.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys later.
All right.
See you guys.
Care,
Thanks
everybody.
for listening.
Tortured soul.